We've got to be involved in our democracy if we want to bring about these changes. We've got to be involved in our democracy in order to strengthen it. We've got to be involved in our democracy in order to take the influence of these big money corporations and special interests out of our politics, to be able to demand better and more from our elected leaders, to be able to pass legislation that will actually close the revolving door that we have in Washington right now, that perpetuates so much of the legal corruption that we're seeing. We're not naive thinking that, oh, somebody who's working for a big bank on Wall Street and is then appointed to a position in the SEC is somehow all of a sudden going to be advocating for us. That's not the case. They look out for big banks on Wall Street and then go and get paid a lot of money when they go back to that industry. That's why we're in a place now where big banks on Wall Street are bigger now than they were when they were supposedly too big to fail. We, the people, need to take the power back. What we're talking about here is fighting for an open, inclusive, transparent Democratic Party that best represents and serves the people. We need to get rid of the undemocratic system of superdelegates who literally have the power to swing an election, making up 1/3 of the votes any candidate needs to secure the nomination. We must enact open or same-day registration in Democratic primaries to make it easier and actually encourage voter engagement rather than making it more difficult. We must put people over profits and progress over special interests. We have a completely people-powered campaign with volunteers and folks who are giving $1, $5, $10, whatever they can to make sure that we're able to get our message out there, taking no contributions from PACs, no contributions from lobbyists, making sure that the voices of the people are at the forefront. It's easy for politicians now to say, well, of course the Iraq War was wrong. Of course I would have voted against the Iraq War, but none of them are saying what they will do right now about the regime change wars that are happening today, like the one happening in Syria. These are the same kinds of people who will wait and in 10 or 20 years say, oh, well, of course we should not be waging a regime change war in Syria. What we need is leadership. Leadership with courage to recognize and understand the right thing at the right time.
I've served in Congress for 7 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committees, meeting with world leaders, working with military commands, getting high-level national security briefings focused on ensuring our nation's security, the safety and security and the freedom of the American people, and working towards peace. Right. That was why I was willing to meet with the brutal dictator of Bashar al-Assad in Syria in the interest of peace and national security, and why as president I'll be willing to meet with any leader from any other country if it means that we are able to ensure no more of my brothers and sisters in uniform are needlessly, unnecessarily sent into harm's way.
And that's really what we're talking about here. When I'm talking about my voting present, not falling into one side's trap or the other side's trap, but instead taking a strong position and making that statement on behalf of the American people and our democracy. Here is where there is common ground, where we can bring people together from across both party lines, Democrats, Republicans, independents, and begin this reconciliation process, begin to actually heal our country and move forward.
And so now here's Meghan McCain, and here's what she has to say about you and your voting present.
I, too, would not have voted for it, and I actually think Tulsi Gabbard has absolute balls of steel to vote present, because that's what I would have done if I were her as well. And then this happens.
So there you go.